Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Same Storm, Different Boat. Today we're talking to Rich Brochu of Florida Fishing Academy. Um, Not only a great friend of ours, but I also had the honor of serving on Florida Fishing Academy's board when we lived down in Florida. And we're really excited to talk to him today about how things are going with FFA during this really strange time that we're living in. Um, FFA is a nonprofit organization, and it offers several different types of programs to children in during the school year in schools, but also via summer camps during the summer. It teaches children about respecting and protecting the waterways and marine life, and a lot of other things. I was really blown away when we were first introduced to FFA by just the work that they do. But I also was blown away by the fact that down in Florida, there can be children living as close as 5 minutes to the water, and they have no idea about how to respect the water, how to respect the marine life, just what the waterways really mean. So, if you would, Rich, can you share a little bit with our listeners how the Academy was operating and the things it was doing pre-COVID?
Well, thank you, Rhonda. Wayne, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
That was a great summary. I don't know why you need me. You did such a great job, but that was awesome. um, so pre-COVID, we were seeing about 3,500 kids a year. Like you said, most of them live about 5 minutes from the water. 90 to 95% of all of our students actually have never been on a boat, never been in the water, and most of them can't swim. So there's that fear of water. But we show them how to be responsible and safe, wearing life jackets. So not only are we helping to introduce them to our environment, we're teaching them responsible angling, we're teaching about the rules and regulations, but more importantly, we're building on their social and emotional learning skills. So we're building from the whole child all the way up. So summertime was our big time. We'd put about 1,200 kids out on the boat and another 12 or 1,300 in the city of Riviera Beach, through their beach over there, kayaking, swimming, snorkeling, and Peanut Island. So, we had pretty good, hefty summer program. Our after school program, we really can't take them on field trips, so we try to do most of our stuff in the summer. And as of now, the schools are closed for us in Palm Beach County. So there is no summer camp. So we're actually looking at virtual classes, online, maybe do some like community support events, get the kids online, take some safety tests, and hopefully we can still get some rods and reels in their hands so they have something to do this summer.
And for these kids, the summer programs, sometimes that's all these kids had to look forward to. That was what they did during the summer. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big, especially in low income neighborhoods, and that's primarily where our market is. I mean, that's where our market is. We really don't do much else. But there are tests that show that kids that don't have anything to do and don't stay engaged and just kind of sit at home and do nothing, they actually fall off the learning curve from the school spectrum too. So not only are our programs fun, but there are a lot of programs like ours that, we work on that inner child, and hopefully they feel inspired and they do other engaging things too to keep their mind active throughout the summer. So you got to really consider this as a really long summer because it started about 2 months ago,
Right.
basically. So they're going to be out of school for 4 or 5 months if they even can go back at the end of the year.
Right. And you, at this point, don't even know if the summer camps you're gonna be able to do them, right?
So most of the schools are closed. So that was probably about 90% of our summer camps. And on Monday, they're opening up the beaches. So we can do some things, but then we have to be at a distance of, 6 feet. So our boat's a 49 passenger boat. which means in reality, I can only put 10 kids on it. And, we can't really run the boat with those kind of numbers.
Right.
It's just not safe. We're looking at other avenues to do stuff too. We're looking at trying to come up with some funding to buy like the full face snorkel mask.
Hmm.
Because when our kids go swimming, the first thing they do if they have the mouthpiece type snorkel mask is when they get up, they just kind of like spit all the water out. So, we're looking for something that's self-contained. And so we're trying to adapt to the times. It's never, well, for a while, it's not gonna, it's gonna be a changing world. It's changing out there.
Yeah. And I think one reason I was really excited, well, we both were, to talk to you was because I think we all get so caught up in what this has done to our own personal lives that you don't realize organizations like yours, just how drastically this is affecting it. And I also want to say something else, a huge kudos about FFA. There have been some kids that have gone through the programs for many years, and that's inspired them to go into marine biology in college and things like that. And I think that just speaks volumes about the program. So I did want to make sure that I got that little tidbit in.
And thank you. And one of the things we had just started, and I don't know how this is going to go too, is city of Riviera is like a really low income area, but there's a lot of money in boats up there with marinas. So we were working with the city on a task force to do workforce development in the marine industry. But now with all these vacancies and jobs, I don't know how that's going to work either for these kids either, trying to teach them a trade at this point.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of ifs up, right now is what's going to happen with the economy, what's going to happen with the boats, because really it's a luxury for a lot of people. So,
Right. Right.
Knowing that you are a small organization, relatively speaking, with limited resources and so on and so forth. Some of the people that we've spoken to are in the education world and have talked about how difficult it is to create online learning in different economic environments, because sometimes those kids don't even have access to the things that we take for granted, like a smartphone or a tablet or something like that, nor would they have the experience with it. If you have to switch from within your organization to online learning, how's that going to look? And a corollary, I know that your connections are through schools. Do you have access to get to people to schedule them for online? That just seems like a monumental task for an organization that's built around kids show up, you get on a boat and you take them out and give them real life experiences. You've been taken by surprise and have to come up with a plan. How's that looking for you guys?
So we're actually in a lot better shape than a lot of counties and states around, because Palm Beach County, when this first started, made computers available to people that didn't have them, to kids that didn't have them. So
Excellent.
all they had to do is, now there are some I've heard that haven't done that, but they have been made available by our school system. And then our cable company down here has given free cable for the school year.
Wow.
So yeah, so we also work with Children's Services Council and Primetime of Palm Beach County. And they're really been our backbone for getting into the schools and these online systems. Because we're part of the school system and the aftercare, there's still a connection with the main organizations that I just mentioned to Palm Beach County schools. So they're still in touch with the people that are in touch with our children. So we're set up, it's not just us, but Primetime through CSC has set up the portal to access and put this stuff, and all of us are doing it as a group. And in fact, they actually had a news briefing the other day on, I think it was Channel 12, showing all these online classes that are available, and our logo was up on the screen. I heard about it, I didn't see it, so they are trying to they know how important it is to engage our youth, especially now, with this, because, they're lacking social contact. So at this point, giving them something to do and, somehow staying engaged is helping. So we really do have a good support system. Community Foundation of Palm Beach County and United Way, Palm Beach County, they've all kind of banded together, and they are continuing our funding and helping us adapt our contracts, so that we can succeed. So when it first started, I was really worried, what's going to happen.
Sure.
But we're pretty much, can say that those organizations have our back for the next 2 years.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome to hear. Can you share a little bit about, because this is just fascinating to me. You guys have a mobile marine lab, and it's quite the vehicle, if I might say. Can you share a little bit about it, and how is this going to affect using that going forward, using that in the program?
So that's one of the programs that we run during the like the after school. So we don't really use that in the summer because that's more to engage them in science at the school. So that's more of a like a STEAM types, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So where we used to put 20 kids on that trailer at one point in time, we're just going to have to break it up into smaller groups after school. So it's going to take us longer to serve our kids, which, is inevitably going to cost us more money, because, when I could go to a school and an after school, I could do, 20, 30 kids in, a couple hours. Now it might take me 3 hours, to do that. So there's going to be some adjusting, but I don't really see a whole lot of change with that part of our programming. And, despite this happening, prior to it happening, we had applied with Primetime for another grant, and we've got additional funding coming in August for that program too. So
Awesome.
yeah. So, I mean, it's, the community support for that stuff has been, great. So.
Speaking of all of that, it was my honor to actually be at many of your fundraisers, and for a couple of them, sit in a corner and play some pretty bad acoustic guitar while people mingled and bid on things. So your fundraisers, to my knowledge, were group events where people gathered. That's been obviously put on hold. What's the fundraising situation look like for you? I hear that you're saying you've got great community support and some government support, but there was also the avenue of people donating. How's that? How are you adapting to that?
So we really haven't adapted to that too well, because we've been doing this transition into online, so we've been focusing there. I've been trying to write grants, but most of the grants right now are focused on COVID, so that's been difficult. One of the things that's unfortunate about what has happened in fundraising is we were just moving into a capital campaign trying to buy the boat that we're using as an academy, because the academy doesn't actually own it. So I don't really foresee that happening. So that portion, unless somebody, steps up and, wants to put some money up, which I don't really foresee, because there are a lot more, health issues at risk right now, but I can see that probably changing, and we might have to pass on being able to buy that boat. I've seen some people doing some online fundraising stuff, and the numbers from the bigger organizations are down. So it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't, for me, it doesn't feel right going out asking for money for support when I know we can survive the next 2 years, where, there are millions of Americans that are out of work right now,
Right.
that are looking for food, might be losing their home soon, so when you kind of put things in perspective, I don't really fit into that category, of,
Right.
helping those type peoples. And we have some big issues right now.
It's quite the balance for you guys, because the program is so important to children and to a very specific group of children. I mean, I guess the blessing that you take away from this is that with what was in place with grants and whatnot prior to this happening, that will help you to sustain and keep the programs, although they will be adjusted to the new way of life, it'll help you keep the programs in place and running for a while. So, you know, I think we always try to look at what good or what, you know, positive can we possibly find from this. And I think having those funding avenues in place prior to this is a blessing for you guys, really. It really is.
And I've, you know, done some studying and some classes and stuff recently with my spare time and, you know, online learning and that kind of thing. But so one of the things I actually learned about some of the larger organizations that have now, our budget is not over $1 million. It's, you know, closer to like that 400,000 or 500,000. But the ones that are like in that, what they call the top tier, they actually concentrate 90% of what they do. They focus on one type of funding, and most of that is program funding. So I've been actually following the model of the larger organizations and not realizing it. You know, so, hey, you know, I've got that one. But, you know, so we're kind of, you know, pretty, I feel, in a good place with this, you know, the way it's happened.
Yeah.
On the, you know, and I'm sure you heard this before, but, you know, I go out to before they opened up the intercoastal, because they, you know, stopped boaters and shut down all the marinas and the boat ramps. You know, I don't think I've ever gone to the marina that many times that I have in the past month and seen clear water. I mean, it was amazing to see. Yeah. How
Very
clean.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like undisturbed, you know, nobody's out there. So everything was settled. And I mean, it just, every day I went out there, I was like, is that, you know, usually you only get that on like the high tide, you know, when it's like that, you know, that's when they tell you to go diving because it's the clearest. And, you know, I mean, it was like, it was incoming tide. It looked like out tide. It would look like that. I mean,
Wow.
it was, yeah, it was crazy how, you know, what our environment could actually look like if we didn't do all the things we do out there.
Yeah, to destroy it.
Yeah.
Switching gears just a little bit, but kind of along that same line, are you seeing, are people itching down there to get back to the water?
Oh yeah. So they opened it up and it was like a parade out there. They were showing it on the news. It was, I mean, you know, I don't even see, I don't think they were in that 6-foot social distancing between boats at some point. You know, there were so many out there. You know?
Nautical distancing. We need a new term.
Yeah. Yeah.
What has this whole situation, and this is more of the personal part of it now, what has this whole situation for you, Nicole, your girls, been like, being at home with 3 ladies, quarantined at home? It's certainly changed the way that we live and that we do day-to-day activities. What are you guys doing to stay busy and to keep things happy and not agitate one another? And what kinds of things do you guys do together as a family?
Well, you know, the girls, Bailey just finished her college, you know, this Wednesday, I think, was her last test. And Krista is still, you know, she still has some time left and she's taking tests. So they've pretty much locked in their room for, you know, 6-7 hours a day, you know, doing that kind of stuff. But they've been playing like online cribbage is the game. We're learning some college games. So Bailey has taught us, what is that, beer pong or something like that?
I was going to ask beer pong as a joke, and you threw it out first.
Well, it's a real thing. You know, hey, if you want to Zoom another meeting, we'll show you how to play it later on the next one.
What are you doing in a half hour?
I don't know. I think Bailey's still sleeping, even though it's 2:30 at our time almost. But you know, let's see what else. So Chris and I have been going out paddleboarding.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we have.
You guys have a little lake behind your house, right?
Yeah, yeah. So Although there is a 3-foot alligator back there, so we're gonna have to learn how to paddle quickly at some point, I think. We got a kayak back here too, so but it's been great having the girls home, because both of them were gone last semester,
Yeah.
Right, right.
Well,
and having them.
actually are going to be talking to them next week, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to that because I'm just the perspective from a high schooler and a college student. I'm super interested in that, and I can't wait to talk to them because I'm sure they've got some different thought processes than we do as adults about this whole situation.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
Before we let you go, we knew you. I met you socially and learned about Florida Fishing Academy, and the title of the academy is something that somebody could look at and go, well, they teach kids how to fish, or they go fishing. It's a school about fishing. And as I got to know you better and knew your dedication to what you're doing, what you said about the clear water really hit me. I remember us discussing the algae blooms and the runoff from the sugarcane fields and so on and so forth. And so many people, I hope whoever's listening, South Florida all the way to Montana, the Everglades and the connected waters of South Florida are essential to life. And it blew me away. The first stat you told me was that there are, by the way, what's the age range of the kids that you deal with?
So we go down to as low as kindergarten all the way up to 21.
So at the at the earliest point where they're starting to absorb life where you live, you're bringing marine life to them and exposing it. And you told me a stat, a lot of your kids come and get on your boat and taste the water, didn't realize that the water had salt in it.
Yeah, and we're talking like high school students. We get them out there for the first time, and they're like, they get that salt water in their mouth, and they're like, why does this taste funny? And like, it's salt water. Like, yeah, the kids respond, we know it's salt water. We learned that in science class, but they'd never experienced it. Yeah. So, and that's 90 to 95%.
95%. And you say you deal with 3,500 kids a year. So we're talking over 3,000 young people didn't know and are getting exposed to it. And while we were living in South Florida for 8 years and saw how it all interconnected, your dedication and what you are doing is so much bigger than the title. You have to have a title that people can remember. I get it, but it's not just about one thing. It's about life in South Florida and keeping that whole ecosystem working and clean. And here we are 6 weeks into a quarantine, and you're looking at clean water every time you go to the intercoastal. That's just amazing.
And one of the things that we talk about, and I really didn't cover it about the mobile marine lab, is we actually show them, we have a working watershed with a sand aquifer in it. And we actually show them, and most of the kids are getting pretty, knowing this now because they've seen it for a while, but we have like little fake water bottles, and we show them that no matter where you throw it in the watershed, eventually it's going to run down and get into our oceans. I don't know if you guys know the stats now, but they say we eat about a credit card size of plastic about every 1 to 2 weeks.
That's being recycled and brought back to us in our food and our water and so on. Yes.
Yeah. It's most of it's coming from our water bottles. So if you're using plastic water bottles, you should get rid of them and stop using them. One of the foods that it's in was rice, because rice grows in the water and it's on the external part of the rice. So they recommend to, wash the rice off. So it's affecting our everyday life. And when the fish consume it, the little microplastics, other fish consume that, and it keeps getting passed on. And if they just die, then it gets re-released back into the water again. So,
or if we eat the fish, then we're eating
plastic.
It is truly, again, another positive looking for the positive that has come out of this is the clean water but it must be amazing to see you see it clean now when 8 weeks ago it was mucky and nasty and dirty.
Yep.
And so it's really this whole epidemic has been eye-opening in so many ways, I think, for so many people. But I don't know. We can't say enough about what you guys do with the Academy and for the kids. And I'm glad that we had this time to talk about an organization like the Academy and what this situation, means, because the Academy is an important part of many, many, many children's lives down there.
Yep. And
is there plastic in beer? If we do beer pong, or is it better to drink beer?
Let's see. I don't know. I'd have to look at that one.
Let's examine that.
Let's do an experiment and try it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in.
All right.
I'll be part of your study.
You'll be a guinea pig?
Absolutely. Rich, thank you for joining us.
Thank you
And
so much.
it was great to see you and talk to you and let people know just the tip of the iceberg of what you guys are doing down there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's great seeing you guys again.
Same here.
Take care. See you soon. Give our love to Nicole and the girls.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.